Welcome everyone, and bless you. Yesterday, it was a truly wonderful experience for me to host such a remarkable series of presenters and their presentations. Today, we're moving further afield. Today, we reach Asia, though we begin in the Caribbean and the Bahamas. All the papers yesterday were thoughtful and thought-provoking, illuminating and informative, passionate and sensitive. And for me, at one moment, I have to say, heart-rending. Tears came to my eyes. And all rooted in those qualities which speak most clearly for the Christian faith. That is to say, compassion and love. What's the good of being a Christian, a follower of Jesus, my master, if all one practices is the most shallow judgmentalism on behalf, as is supposed, an old man up in the sky who works his divinity through orders backed by threats? Yeah. And what's the point of being a legislator, of being Caesar, in lands which are not theocracies, if the legitimate interests of an authentic and honorable social group are ignored because of the protestations of the Christian right, whose understanding of biblical text does not move beyond literalism, who ignore the teachings of the architect of the Christian faith, and the flights of love of the Holy Spirit down the arches of the Christian centuries? What would be the point? After the conference yesterday, I took myself off to a coffee shop, as I'm wont to do in the afternoon. And I took with me this book. On several occasions yesterday, Bishop Elaine mentioned him and I mentioned him. We spoke of Pope Francis, who is very dear to me. I have his blessing, his personal blessing, in 2 places in my house. So I took this book on love with me. And at one point, I opened it before I started to eat. I opened it as if one might open a Bible for guidance and illumination. I opened it at random. And the page that I opened was page 26. And the heading is, "Love is the Mark of a Christian." And I'll read it to you, it's worth hearing. "Love is the concrete sign that demonstrates faith in God, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Love is the badge of the Christian, as Jesus told us, 'By this all men will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another.' It's a contradiction for Christians to hate. The devil always seeks to make us hate because he's a troublemaker. He doesn't know love, and God is love." Well, given the nature of our dialogue and the difficulties which both sides of this equation face with each other, that seemed to me to be a very remarkable and prophetic place for me to have turned to. So thank you, Pope Francis, and more for that. Now, today follows the same format as yesterday. There'll be one keynote speaker only, and then there will be 2 panels of speakers who will speak, I have to say this, for roughly 9 minutes. Don't worry if you hear a gong after the 9 minutes. It's just a little signal that we should be drawing to a close, that we're winding down. And each panel will be followed by a question and answer session. Yesterday, we had no questions at all. So obviously we left you gobsmacked. No, but that was a pity. Do remember to keep your questions short, because they will be moderated. There'll be a 10-minute coffee break after the first question and answer session. You can ask your questions either through Zoom or the Facebook page, and it's all recorded in any case. by the HIV Legal Network. I saw part of it last night when I was sort of recapping what was going on. A lot of people saw that recording yesterday. There are nearly 600 people tune in at some point of the day or night to see what we'd been up to, and that was truly wonderful. Today, again, we have some very special guests. We had some 8 guests, special guests yesterday. Today we have another 7 or 8. Nijinsky is here. A Houseman is here. Walt Whitman is here. Oscar Wilde is here. Marcel Proust is here. T. Lawrence is here. And Ivor Novello, the songwriter, is here. He wrote Keep the Home Fires Burning, which did so much for our troops in the killing fields of Flanders in the First World War. Now, all of those are gay or bisexual. And again, I'm bound to ask, and will, how God could possibly have touched all these great ones with that most divine quality, creative genius, if in the grand scheme of things, their sexual orientation mattered one jot in heaven. There's a tendency to think that LGBTQism is some sort of modern fad. In fact, it goes back to the dawn of time. It's part of the landscape, and it always will be. So we ask blessings on them and on all hearts opened by love. Our keynote speaker, who is very, very welcome indeed, is Dr. Edward Green, who is the Chancellor of the University of Guyana and formerly the UN Special Envoy for HIV/AIDS in the Caribbean. Welcome, Dr. Green, and over to you.